Elon Musk is terrible in every way, and he's a guy with a big family, and so that doesn't get to be immune to that. His relationship with all of them is both terrible and I also think illuminating. Okay, I think that there is something that we can learn about who he is and what he values with the way he treats his family. The part of it that he treats at all, I guess, since much of it he doesn't seem to care about and has no contact with. But anyway, we're gonna start this off with the latest op-ed released by Elon Musk's daughter, Vivian Wilson, who is trans. And then we're gonna get to Musk's apparent sort of subtle response. So Vivian says, remembering by the way, and we talked about this at the time, she called her father delusional and a serial adulterer last year. That's just the case. She says that when she came out as trans, her mom supported her, but Musk was less enthusiastic. Quote, no, he was not as supportive as my mom. First of all, I had not talked to him in months, so I had to get effing parental consent to get testosterone blockers and hormone replacement therapy. Now, what's interesting there is initially he was not as supportive. And that is actually important because we need to bear in mind, he's terrible. He wasn't always terrible in all of the ways that he's terrible. He wasn't as supportive then. Now he's an active participant in the cultural genocide of this entire group. That's the radicalization that we can see. He used to tweet about how awesome Tesla was for the LGBTQ community. So like most right wingers, they didn't care about this stuff at all just a few years ago. It became their entire personality over the last few years. But Wilson goes on to say that he had berated her earlier in life for potentially being queer in an abstract sense. He didn't know that she would end up being trans. She also criticized the salute, saying that S was definitely a Nazi salute. The crowd is equally to blame, and I feel like people are not talking about that. That crowd should be denounced. I mean, we definitely did, but yeah, most people didn't as much. She said, he's a pathetic man-child. Why would I feel scared of him? Oh, he has so much power. Nah. I don't give an F. Why should I be scared of this man? Because he's rich? Oh no, I'm trembling. Ooh, shivering in my boots here. I don't give an F how much money anyone has. I really don't. He owns Twitter. Okay, congratulations. People thrive off fear. I'm not giving anyone that space of my mind. The only thing that gets to live free in my mind are drag queens, which oddly enough also lives free in most right wingers' minds. She also referred to both Musk and Trump for what they're doing to the trans community and migrants as cartoonishly evil, and revealed that she hasn't spoken to him since 2020. Now, one might think that someday Musk might try to make amends or something, but he's not doing that. He's moving in the opposite direction. And so someone had tweeted that 3 out of the 4 people who've been arrested for vandalizing Teslas are transgender or non-binary. I have no idea if that's true any more than Elon Musk did when he responded to that. I mean, it after all was a random person on Twitter. Why wouldn't the richest man in the world respond to it? Saying, what are the statistics on trans violence? The probability of a trans person being violent appears to be vastly higher than non-trans. The word cis. I know that you can't type that on Twitter because of your cancel culture, but that's the word. You don't have to say non-trans, there's an actual word for it. Hormone injections cause extreme emotional volatility. That is simply a fact. No, it's not actually a fact, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, but that's never stopped him before. So because what he's doing there is elevating like conspiracy theories or whatever designed to demonize trans people, that obviously led to more of it. That's the point of him doing it. And so this one, again, random person who pays to be on Twitter posted a chart implying that trans people commit sexual violence more than cis people. And he responds saying, wow, trans violence is extremely far above normal levels, which is a normal way to respond as a wealthy, more than 50-year-old. But anyway, that's not actually true. Again, on the emotional volatility, that's not actually true at all. Also, transgender people are victimized, including violently and including sexually at significantly higher rates, something like twice as high rates as cis people are. And so if you want to talk about emotional volatility and all of that, talk about the people demonizing trans people. And if you want to talk about violence, talk about the violence, including lethal and sexual violence against trans people, because that we actually do have a lot of evidence for. But anyway, that's the way that he decided to respond to this. He's apparently never going to try to make amends with his trans child. He will not accept their inherent humanity or whatever, try to build a bridge there. Instead, he is using his platform, the platform, like with all of his business ventures that he bought, that someone else made, to demonize these people and to whip his cultists into a frenzy against them. Or what do you think?
I mean, he's the worst father. We should buy him that mug. World's worst father. World's most father, maybe, because he might have the most children, but with great, potence comes great responsibility, and he doesn't really seem to care about anything except parading his like 6-year-old around as a way to say, please, please, please consider me a normal dad. Right? It's insane. I think we should, these folks on the right try to paint transgender individuals as mentally ill and thus should be made illegal, right? I say if we're gonna do that, let's make it universal across the board. Like if you have any mental illness, as would be admitted to or described by a right winger, you should not be able to participate in certain activities within a society. For example, let's say you're a narcissistic sociopath who's admitted to having Asperger's on national television, being on the spectrum on national television. Well, you know what? Someone who is in charge of Social Security who might not understand social norms might not be the best person qualified. I'm not even saying from a medical perspective, just from a social norms perspective, it's not fair for him to do that. So we should disqualify him from the process and let just like a random other person be in charge of it who doesn't have this creepy mental illness. And don't tell me that Elon Musk isn't creepy. I've seen his underbelly so many times when he's jumping to make an X shape with his body.
Now, you are doing a rhetorical thing there. Let's be clear about that. But I would say that I'll add more mental illnesses. He has a severe, debilitating, and I would say self-destructive addiction to the pursuit of money. I think it's very clear. We understand hoarding when it's jars of fingernails or whatever. Why do we not understand it when it's money? Money that you'll never be able to spend, stupid, pointless money, digital money that doesn't actually exist, doesn't matter at all. And you're willing to do anything, destroy anything to get that jar of fingernails, or in this case, another $1 billion. That is obviously a mental illness. And it's a lot of mental illnesses are things that just cause suffering for the individual or whatever. His doesn't, his hurts all of us. And so I think that we have a societal interest in dealing with it. So anyway, we're doing rhetorical things, but the rhetorical stuff that he's doing is just terrible. Like this is what he's spending his time on. Like, how can I make it worse for trans people, including my kid? I'm gonna go on Twitter and see what I can do.
There's a scene in The Office
in America.
There's a scene in The Office where for a second they think that Kevin's really smart, but they just realize that no, he's just an idiot. And that's what my take on Elon Musk. Oh, maybe he's just an idiot. Maybe he's not like an iconoclastic outside the box thinker. Maybe he's like, what if we caught rockets on chopsticks? Like as he's in a fever dream, who knows on what medication?
I've been trying
Chinese food.
Ketamine, that's one of them. But yes, I've been trying to explain that for a long time to people. And Brooke Marks in the chat says, it really was just about cookies the whole time, referring to the Kevin part that you're talking about. It was just cookies.